Over the many years of watching football, I find it very interesting that every so often comes a rookie who when you say his name, you know that that guy is going to make an immediate impact. You just know it. Now, he's not necessarily a top 5 pick, a top 10 pick, even a first round pick. But when you say the name and you talk about this person as a rookie, you just have a feeling that he's going to make a great impact. Think DeSean Jackson, Shady McCoy, Brian Dawkins, Keith Jackson, Eric Allen. These are all guys that you knew before they even played one snap that they were going to be very good. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Miles Sanders is that next guy.
Kick the red, double move on the red.
Everybody doing King Ding back here. Every so often in the draft comes a guy that for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the name. It's just that you just have this feeling. You have this feeling like this guy is going to make an immediate impact. I've dealt with this my whole life being a fan of the Eagles. I remember when DeSean Jackson got drafted in the second round. You just knew he was going to be a dynamic player for the Eagles. Shady McCoy was another one. You can go back to when I was younger. Brian Dawkins, when he was drafted, I believe was the second round. You knew that Brian Dawkins was going to be a good player. Eric Allen, I remember when he was drafted. You felt the same thing. Keith Jackson. There are just some guys, I don't know what it is. You just have this feeling. You have this sense like they are going to be really good players and they are going to make an immediate impact. Now, this doesn't happen every year. You don't get this sense every year, and I haven't had it in a few years, but I got it this year. I got it this year from Miles Sanders. I really believe when I close my eyes and I say Miles Sanders, I see a long career with the Philadelphia Eagles as their featured back. I think the world of Miles Sanders. And I think that the Eagles got a steal getting him in the second round. I think he fell off the radar, primarily because if you look at his college career, the first 2 years in college, he really didn't do anything. He wasn't productive. But he had Saquon Barkley in front of him. Saquon Barkley is a generational talent. To me, I'll tell you this right now, Saquon Barkley, in my opinion, is the best running back in football, bar none. There is not one running back I would choose over him in the NFL today. Saquon Barkley is a stud. So, when you have Saquon Barkley in front of you in college, it's going to be hard to get a lot of reps, to get a lot of playing time. It just is. That's just the nature of it. And I think Miles Sanders fell off the radar a lot because the first few years in college, he wasn't productive because he didn't play that much, okay? Let me go over some of his statistics from college. In 2016, Miles Sanders played 13 games. He had only 25 attempts for 184 yards. He averaged 7.4 yards per carry. 2016, his freshman year. He had 1 touchdown, and then he had 2 receptions for 24 yards. Okay, not much. 2017, he played in 10 games. He only had 31 attempts. Now, remember, 2017 is Saquon Barkley's last year in college. Okay, you're not going to get that many attempts. You have Saquon Barkley in front of you. So Barkley, so that 2017 when he was backing up Barkley, he had 31 attempts, 191 yards, averaged 6.2 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 6 receptions for 30 yards. Okay, so 2016, 2017, you're dealing with Saquon Barkley in front of you. You're not going to get that much playing time. That's just the way it is. But Barkley leaves. He goes to the Giants. I hate that he went to the Giants, but he does. Miles Sanders becomes a starter for the Penn State Nittany Lions. So, what does he do when he's given a opportunity? When he's given a chance? He has 13 games. He has 220-yard attempts. So he goes from 31 attempts high to 221-yard attempts in 2018. He has 1,274 yards, averages 5.8 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, 24 catches for 139 yards. So as you can see, as soon as Miles Sanders was given an opportunity, as soon as he was given an opportunity with the Lions to be the starter, to be the feature back, he took advantage of it, had a great year, gets drafted by the Eagles in the second round. He is a very talented player who happened to back up a generational talent in Saquon Barkley. A generational. That means Barkley, a guy like Barkley, doesn't come around except for maybe every 10, 20 years. I believe that. I believe Saquon Barkley's that good. Anybody that has watched my videos long term knows that I was talking about Saquon Barkley while he was in college, while he was still in Penn State. The guy is that good. And for Miles Sanders to have to play behind him for most of his college career, okay, I think it opened the door for the Eagles to get a steal in the second round, because I think if Miles Sanders was on another team and he played 3 years of college and he got majority of the carries and was the guy, he would have gone a lot higher in this draft. And there's another great thing that comes out of this for the Eagles. Not only did they get a talent like Miles Sanders to fall to them in the second round, but they're getting a guy who hasn't taken a lot of pounding. He hasn't taken a lot of pounding. I mean, he had 220 attempts last year. Then in 2017, it was 31 attempts. 2016, it was 25 attempts. Those are not a lot of carries. That is not a lot of work. There is not a lot of wear and tear on Miles Sanders. Now, Miles Sanders comes into a position where he is going to back up Jordan Howard. I already think that even before the season starts, before training camp starts, Miles Sanders goes into training camp on the depth chart as the second back on his team. I think he's already better than Corey Clement, who we don't even know if is healthy. Let's face it, I'm not a big Wendell Smallwood fan, and Adams, we'll see if he can even make the team. But Miles Sanders is once again coming back, or coming into an opportunity where he is the backup. He has to come and win the job. Now, Jordan Howard's a great running back. I love Jordan Howard. I think the Eagles made a great trade in getting Jordan Howard. But Jordan Howard is in the last year of his contract, which means he's playing for a contract. He should be ready to have a huge year, because a lot of money for Jordan Howard, a lot of strato is depending upon Jordan Howard having a great year. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you this. When I look at Jordan Howard and I look at what happened to him in Chicago, I think the same thing is set up to happen in Philly. Jordan Howard is, in my opinion, a two-down back. He is a two-down back who played in a system that's similar to the Eagles in some ways, with Nagy in Chicago. And what happened? Nagy really favored Cohen. He favored that guy that could catch out of the backfield, that was dangerous out of the backfield. And I think you're going to see the same situation this year with Miles Sanders develop. Miles Sanders is going to have to work his way in. He's going to have to learn the speed of the game. He's going to have to become a better blocker. There's things he's going to have to work on. But Miles Sanders, in my opinion, is a three-down back. He's a guy that can catch out of the backfield more so than Jordan Howard. And I really believe by week 10 of the NFL season, I believe Miles Sanders will be the starter, will be the featured back for the Eagles. I believe this so much so that I'm headed to Vegas in mid-June. Okay, I'm headed mid-June and I'm putting money on Miles Sanders for Rookie of the Year, because I really feel that he is going to have a chance, because I really think he is going to be the featured back for the Eagles. I think the Eagles got a complete and utter steal in Miles Sanders this year, and I'm very, very excited about him. Now, some people may be saying, dude, you're putting too much on a rookie running back. You're putting too much on him. You're not giving Jordan Howard enough props. You're not giving him enough credit. He's a good running back. And here's my rebuttal to that. I like Jordan Howard. I think the world of Jordan Howard. I think he's a great running back. I think he's a great two-down running back. I do. I like him a lot. But I think the world of Miles Sanders. I just think he's that good. I really do. And a running back position in the NFL is a lot easier to adjust to as a rookie than other positions. So we see it all the time. We see rookies come in and they have good years and they get adjusted to the speedy NFL and they can play and be productive as a rookie. I think Miles Sanders can do it. I believe in him that much. It is not a slight on Jordan Howard. It isn't. I am saying that I just think the world of Miles Sanders, okay? And what's interesting to me is this time of year, you get a lot of experts, right? The so-called experts. They come out with their projections, their fantasy projections, and they start putting out, what they think players are going to do and what teams are going to do. And even though you can't put a lot of stock in it, most of the time they're wrong, I do find it interesting. I do find it interesting to see what people think of certain players, you know what I mean? So there's a guy, Mike Clay. I think he may be with ESPN. He does stuff with projections and fantasy and NFL, and he basically has been putting out his projections of different teams. He put out the Redskins, the Eagles, Cowboys. He might have done other teams already. But I was looking at it and I thought it was very interesting, and I want to share it with you guys. I'll leave you the link in the description so you guys can check it out yourselves. But he did the Eagles, he did the Cowboys, he did the Redskins. And when I went and I was looking at his projections for the year, one thing really stood out to me, and that was the running back projections he has for the Eagles. Now, I think some of them are kind of low, some of the statistics he's projecting, but we'll see. But what was interesting was he had Miles Sanders basically being the number one back of the Eagles. His statistics that he predicted for Miles Sanders for the year was basically this: 15 games, 174 attempts for 733 yards, 5 touchdowns. He has him getting 39 receptions, 312 yards, and 2 touchdowns, okay? That's pretty good. Now, when you look at what he gave Jordan Howard, and I'll leave the link in the description to all this, he has Jordan Howard with 154 attempts, 623 yards, 16 receptions for 125 yards, and a touchdown. Meaning, he's got Miles Sanders getting 20 more attempts than Jordan Howard. To me, that tells me that Miles Sanders, at some point, according to this guy's projections, he sees him as the number one back for the Eagles, and that's exactly what I think too. He had Corey Clement really low. He had Corey Clement getting only 24 attempts for 102 yards, 9 receptions for 76 yards. I think that's way low for Corey Clement. I think Corey Clement's going to be the third down back. I think Wendell Smallwood will be on this team, will be the fourth down back, and we'll see what happens to Adams. And I'll go over some other things real quick. He had Carson Wentz. He has Carson Wentz playing in 15 games, 542 attempts passing, 361 completions, 4,131 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 206 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Now, I got Carson getting between 38 and 40 touchdown passes. That's just me. I think Carson's going to have a great year. Like I said, I think for the Eagles, some of these numbers are small. And he had Alshon, he has getting 74 catches, 965 yards, 8 touchdowns. I want Alshon over 1,000 yards. He's got Deshaun getting 48 catches, 805 yards, 5 touchdowns. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Then he's got Ertz with 93 catches, 940 yards, 8 touchdowns. Goddard with 35 receptions, 371 yards, 4 touchdowns. I'll put this all in the link in the description. He's also got the stinking Cowboys up here. Let me go over some of these real quick, right? Because some of these, like, I think the Eagles are a little low. I think the Cowboys are a little bit high. He's got Prescott with 3,786 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 7 touchdowns rushing, 34 yards on the ground. I don't know if he's going to get that many total touchdowns. But he's got Ezekiel Elliott with 1,357 yards rushing with 10 touchdowns. Then he's got him with 3 receiving touchdowns, 581 yards, 74 catches. That's a lot of catches. Yeah, I mean, that might be about right. Then he's got Amari Cooper, 85 catches, 1,143 yards, 7 touchdowns. Michael Gallup, 50 catches, 749 yards. Who cares about the stinky Cowboys? They stink. You can check it out in the description. But anyways, it's interesting to me to see these guys' projections, and to me, what I got most out of it was that people around the league view Miles Sanders as somebody who could be the featured back by the time this is all said and done. So definitely check that out, and it'll be interesting. And hey, I think Miles Sanders is going to have a huge year. I'm going to make a little bit of money on him, and that's the way it's going to be. What do you think about Miles Sanders? Let me know. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, and don't be a dingbat.